Okay, so we were in preparation of alkenes. So in the previous class, I had finished with the two preparations. Okay, two preparation we had finished for alkene. One was from alcohols we did, that is by acid catalyzed dehydration. You have made use of alcohol. We took alcohol and made it to react with acid, during which there was elimination of water molecule, and that gave rise to alkene. This was one preparation. One more preparation I had done was from alkyl halide, where we took alkyl halide, made it to react with alcoholic potassium hydroxide, okay, which acted like a strong base, and it removed one hydrogen and one halogen, giving you alkene. Okay, it gave you alkene, plus there were other side compounds also. Okay, so this was the two preparation which I had finished. Now the next one, third one is preparation of alkene from vicinal dihalides. Okay, so when you take dihalides vicinal dihalides and make it to react with highly reactive metal like zinc, it gives a alkene. Okay, it will give you alkene, but during that time there will be elimination. Okay, these halides are negatively charged, and you know metals are usually positively charged, so these will react with each other and they will come out in the form of salt. So a zinc salt will be formed here. Okay, so that will be the side compound, a side product, byproduct we call them. This will be formed. Okay, so it's like a brief idea for you, like how these will be processing, okay, to give you alkene. Now coming to what is vicinal dihalides. See, with the name you understand dihalides. Dihalide means there are two halogen atom. Okay, so we have two halogen, I'm taking them as X. We have two halogen atom. Now vicinal they are saying, that means this vicinal stands for they are in vicinity of each other. So they are in vicinity of each other, means they are neighbors of each other. So if I have two carbon atom, okay, attached to each other, one halogen is attached to one carbon, another halogen is attached to another carbon atom. Okay, remaining valency you can satisfy by taking hydrogen. So if two halogen atoms are attached adjacent to each other, means if they are neighbors of each other, then we call them as vicinal dihalides. Okay, so a dihalide where two halogen atoms are attached to two adjacent carbon atoms. You can see here I have taken them as X, and X can be any halogen atom. You can take them as chlorine, you can take them as bromine, you can take them as iodine as well. Okay, so here this is about vicinal dihalide. But let me also tell you, sometimes you will come across one more dihalide, like if carbon atom is attached, like in the carbon atom, if two halogen atoms are attached to same carbon atom, means they are belonging to the same carbon atom. Remaining carbon valency I will satisfy putting hydrogen. Okay, so if you see like this, two halogen atoms attached to same carbon atom, then we call them as geminal dihalides. Okay, these are called as geminal dihalides. So here you can see two halogen atoms are being attached to same carbon atom. Okay, this is just for your knowledge. You should know what are geminal dihalides. Okay, so I hope this was clear to everybody. Dihalides are of two types. One is vicinal, one is geminal. Vicinal means if they are neighbors, vicinity of each other. Geminal means if they are belonging to same carbon atom, means they are attached to same carbon atom. Okay, so moving on with our preparation using vicinal dihalide. Okay, so in a brief you saw what the reaction was. So I am going to take now the example. Okay, so example for this vicinal dihalide. When vicinal dihalides made to react with zinc, it will lose one molecule of, okay, ZnX2 to form alkene. That we'll see how it is. So here I am taking example of a vicinal dihalide. So CH2 and CH2 I have taken. One more valency is remaining, that we will satisfy by taking bromine here. Okay, so this is vicinal compound. You can name them. You can number it. Okay, so on two carbon atom you can see there is bromine atom attached. So 1, 2 I am taking. You can start from any side, because from both the side if you consider, the naming will go in a similar fashion. So 1, 2 I have first position 1 bromine, second position there is a bromine. Like that you are having 2. So it is called as dibromo. Okay. So 1, 2 dibromo, then 2 carbon atom, single bond. So it's ethane. Okay. So we are taking 1, 2 dibromo ethane. This is made to react with the zinc metal. Okay. You are going to make it to react with zinc metal. I will just tell you how the mechanism proceeds, just for you all to know. Otherwise, mechanism isn't important for you all. Okay. So see now here. I will take CH2 binded with bromine atom here. Again CH2 binded with bromine atom. Okay. You can do the charge separation here because between carbon and bromine, you know, bromine is more electronegative in nature. You know the characteristics also of electronegative element. What electronegative element does is they try to take all the electron density towards themselves. So they will acquire a partial negative charge. This carbon acquires partial positive charge. Similar thing happens here also. Okay. This carbon will be with partial positive charge. All the electron density will be towards the bromine atom. Okay. Now coming to when you make them to react with zinc. You know zinc is a metal. Okay. And what are the characteristics of metal? Metal's properties are they lose electron very easily. They lose electron easily. Okay. They can donate electron. So when they donate electron, they become more stable. Okay, to acquire the stable electronic configuration, they try to lose electron easily. So here the zinc metal is there. No, that will give it so 2 electrons. Zinc can lose maximum 2 electron, okay, according to their valency. So 2 electrons of zinc will be given to this carbon atom which is trying to become deficient. So electrons of the metals will be donated to those species which are electron deficient. Okay, this is having less electron now here. Carbon is because it is losing towards the bromine. Okay, so they will easily try to take those 2 electrons from the zinc. Okay, so when they get electrons, what happens is this whole bromine atom which is attached, no, it will take their electron and go out. It's easy, no, for them. Already they were trying to snatch it. Okay, but from some other way, when the carbon is getting the electron, they will try to give it to the bromine, take and then go, like that it is. Okay, so here this carbon will get negative charge then. Negative because they are getting 2 electrons. No, it was deficient, it had 6 electrons. Okay, if you are counting, you will be able to see they will have 6 electron when they are deficient. But 2 more electrons you are giving, so I am putting that as minus charge. Okay. Now bring that zinc also. Zinc is in +2 state. Okay. Plus this bromine atom which has gone out, Br minus. Okay. So zinc will bind with this carbon plus this bromine atom. Then here this side we are having CH2 and then Br. Okay. It's a symmetrical. Anywhere this reaction can happen. Okay. So once these electron densities are there here, once you are having this electron density on the carbon, okay, what happens is these carbon, okay, will try to distribute these electron towards this, the one who is becoming deficient here. You can see here, no, this carbon is losing their electron towards the bromine. Okay, so what these carbon, the one who has got the electron from the zinc, they will try to send these electron density towards this carbon. Means between the carbon atom, these electrons will be sent. Okay, so then this bromine atom will go out very easily. Okay, because metal anyways don't want electron. Okay, so these electrons from the carbon will be shifted over here. This bond is more stable than compared to this metal and this carbon bond. Okay, carbon bonds are more stable usually. So these electrons are shifted here. So see now compound what is formed. You get CH2 double bond CH2. Okay, and this zinc will go out with Br minus, and this one more Br minus which is coming, that will link with it. So you'll get ZnBr2. Okay, these are the compounds. So that you can write here now as a product. Okay, so I'm writing that. You saw what has happened. Okay, one bromine atom has gone. Those electrons we have got from the zinc. Okay, so one bromine has gone out and one more Br minus has gone out. Okay, so you can directly eliminate now. So I will eliminate one Br without the bond you take, because from here, as you see the mechanism, we get electron from the zinc. So I am not taking this bond. You take this whole bond and remove them out. Okay, and shift the electrons. These electron of the bromine you can shift here. Okay, you know why it has come here? That is because of the zinc giving electron. Okay, so product will be CH2, then double bond, single bond was there, then double bond, then CH2. Okay, plus the eliminated salt, that is ZnBr2. Done. Okay, so this is the product we are supposed to get, okay, from vicinal dihalide. So this is how the elimination takes place. That happens because of highly reactive metal like zinc. Okay. If you want one more example, we can take now. So another example I'm taking, see, CH3CH, okay, one Br on this side, and then single bond CH2 and then Br, okay. Make it to react with zinc. So then they will ask you what will be the product form, okay. So in this case, what you will do, you will remove one bromine atom from this side and full bromine ion from the other side, okay. This will go as Br, okay. You remove this as just Br, and this you will remove as Br minus, okay. They will combine together. So this bond you shift here, okay. So you get CH3, then CH double bond CH2 plus ZnBr2, okay. Because zinc will lose those two electrons. These electrons actually are coming from zinc, okay. You have seen the mechanism part, so you don't have to like worry how Br minus is going out. Br plus is going out. Actually, Br plus doesn't go out. Br minus is going out. That's because of donation of electron by the zinc, okay. So clear, no? And what is the compound now here? 1, 2, 3. This compound name is 1, 2 dibromo, 1, 2 dibromo propane. Okay, that gives you propene. Okay, that gives you propene as the major compound. Okay, so this is from the vicinal dihalide. This reaction is also termed as, because you are removing halogen, it is also called as dehalogenation reaction. Okay, this reaction is also called as dehalogenation because there is removal of halogen atom. Okay, you are removing the halogen. So it's called as dehalogenation reaction. Okay, so that's about the third preparation we did from vicinal dihalides. Okay, next one, the last one which is remaining, the last preparation is from alkynes. So you can prepare alkenes using alkynes. Alkynes are triple bonded compound. Okay, so if I take now ethyne, okay, ethyne triple bonded compound, to prepare ethene using this CH2 double bond CH2. So what has to be done is, there should be extra addition of hydrogen. Okay, so you need to do hydrogenation. We need to carry out hydrogenation reaction for this. Okay, because you can see here molecular formula, it is C2H2 and here it is C2H4. Means 2 hydrogen extra we need to add. Okay, so this process you have already studied. It is called as hydrogenation reaction. And if you remember how we have done hydrogenation reaction is by taking the catalyst. Either we have taken nickel, platinum or palladium as a catalyst. Okay, so if you take any one of these catalysts, hydrogenation will happen. But if you take this catalyst, see, hydrogenation will happen, and at the end what you will get is, if you take alkyne as your reactant, at the end what product you are going to get is alkane. Okay, this will be your end product because these catalysts are highly activated catalyst, means their reactivity is very high. So when the reactivity is very high, they keep on adding hydrogen and finally they end over here. Okay, so there is no intermediate alkene being formed. Alkene will be formed, but then they will get hydrogenated and finally you will end up getting alkane. Okay, so this is the problem what arises. So what is the solution which has been found out is, this was found out by Lindlar. Okay, the person called as Lindlar. So what he has done is, these catalysts are there, no, they have a, let me talk about few about the catalyst. Okay, these catalysts, they have a surface, okay, where the reaction takes place. Means this surface will have certain pores present. That can be pores, it can be like unsatisfied valency, due to which they try to take molecules towards themselves. So there are certain pores. Okay, on this pores, this reaction will take place. Means the reactant will come, then finally they will get converted to product. Here in this place they take place. Okay, so due to which there are many pores, the reactivity is very high, so you get alkanes. So if you want to stop to alkene, if you want to stop in between, then what you have to do is, first thing is you should take very limited amount of hydrogen. You should take calculated amount of hydrogen. You should not add more. Okay, so that there is no chance that they get converted to alkanes. In between only you are trying to stop them. So provide very limited, okay, calculated hydrogen. So we call them as partial reduction, okay. So this is called as partial reduction of alkynes. You are doing only half of it. You are not doing complete, okay. So one is you are passing limited amount of hydrogen. One more thing what you have to do is you should clog the pores, okay. You should block them out, okay. So when you have very little pores available, okay, only the hydrogen initial when the adsorption happens, okay, hydrogen will come and then there will be addition of these alkynes taking place on the surface and finally it will give you alkenes, okay. So blocking this pores, you're trying to block this, that is what we call as poisoning, okay. This is called as poisoning the catalyst, poisoning the catalyst. And how do we poison them? It's being poisoned by putting a substance which will deactivate them, okay. These are now activated. If you keep the pores open, they are very activated, okay. So if you have to do a reaction to stop at alkene, then you have to block these pores, okay. You have to reduce their activity. So that process is what we call as poisoning the catalyst, okay. So this poisoning has been done by adding sulfur compound. They add either sulfur compounds or it is been done by taking quinoline, okay. Quinoline is taken to poison it. So quinoline is one more, it's an organic compound which doesn't allow further reduction to alkanes, okay. So this is Lindlar's catalyst. Just now what I told you is palladium, you are taking palladium but then you are trying to block their pores, okay, by adding the poison, okay. That's how this will look now. Finally this Lindlar's catalyst looks like a cement powder. It looks like that actually, okay. And they are taken in a powdered state because when you have them in the powdered state, the surface area is very large, okay. When larger surface area is there, more of the reaction can take place. So like catalyst surface area, you don't take them as a block, you don't take them as a pieces, you take them as a powder usually, okay. So little powder is enough for the reaction to catalyze. Okay, now this is one diagram which I have taken here just to explain you how poisoning is done. So imagine if this is a palladium catalyst. Okay, you can see here palladium catalyst, the blue ones. Then here you can see the yellow ones. Okay, these are the poisons. Okay, poisoning means you are reducing the efficiency of the catalyst. Okay, you don't make them to react in a better way. Can see no now? Yes. Okay. So see here, this is the catalyst. The blue ones are there, no? These are the catalyst and then these yellow ones are the poison. So what they try to do, these poison, what they do is they come and get absorbed on the surface and block them. Okay. So if they block, no, only little surface area will be available where the reaction will happen. Okay. And they will, these poisons, they will not allow them to further reduce to alkanes. Okay. So this is what happens in Lindlar's catalyst. Now going for the reaction. I hope this much is clear for everybody. There is no issue, no, in understanding. If you have any doubt, you can ask me now, whatever I've done. Okay, fine. Yes, now we'll go for the reaction. So this is all about what we are supposed to do using Lindlar's catalyst and what Lindlar's catalysts are. Okay. So here, see, I've given the definition. What is Lindlar's catalyst? Lindlar's catalyst is, it is a pelletized charcoal partially deactivated with the poison like sulfur compound or quinoline. Okay. So you have a palladium. Pelletized charcoal means you are taking palladium compounds, okay. Palladium compounds are taken which is deactivated because you saw that the pores which is there, you are trying to block those, okay, by adding these poison in between. So they will reduce the efficiency of the catalyst. They will not allow them to continue in a further way, okay. So pelletized charcoal which is deactivated with poison like sulfur compounds or quinoline. This catalyst is called as Lindlar's catalyst, which was prepared by the scientist named Lindlar. So it is given that name, okay. So then what we are taking is directly you are taking alkyne now. I will directly take example. This part you have already written. Okay, so alkynes, CH triple bond CH I'm taking, which is made to react with hydrogen. But you are supposed to take calculated amount of hydrogen. Okay, little amount of hydrogen is enough in the presence of pelladized charcoal, palladium compound, which is being like deactivated with poison. Okay, these are the compounds which are the poison. So directly you add hydrogen now. Okay, break this triple bond. These catalysts will help us to break this triple bond, convert them into double bond. So add one hydrogen here, one more hydrogen on the other side. Okay, so here you will get CH2 double bond, then CH2. Okay, it's a direct addition. Now a speciality of these Lindlar's catalyst is it gives you cis alkenes will be formed. Okay, this speciality of Lindlar's catalyst is it gives you cis alkene, because on the surface, if this is the surface of the palladium metal, okay, hydrogen initially gets absorbed on the surface of this, okay, and this hydrogen directly goes and gets added up across the triple bond. So it's a direct addition. On one side only the addition is taking place. You can see, you know what a cis alkene is. Cis means if the similar groups are present on same side of the carbon-carbon double bond. So addition is taking place on the same side. See this hydrogen, both of the hydrogen gets added up over here only. So it will give rise to cis alkene. If I take some other compound also now, like if I take now this CH3, C, triple bond CH plus hydrogen, that's propine. Okay, this is propine. So if I take propine and then make it to react with hydrogen in the presence of Lindlar's catalyst, then again hydrogen, direct addition over here, okay, this side. You can add one hydrogen over here and one hydrogen on this side, okay, direct addition takes place, but on the same side it takes place, okay. So here you get CH3, then CH double bond CH2, okay. So you get propene as the compound. It's an addition reaction, okay. So this is about the preparation. Now you can write down, till there you had written, you can write down what is Lindlar's catalyst. Okay, next you see, so we are able to get only cis alkene. So I told you, using this Lindlar's catalyst, we can prepare only cis alkene. Okay, cis alkene can be prepared. That's because of the mechanism of addition of hydrogen using this catalyst. The pathway is like that. Okay, so you get at the end, however you do the reaction, you finally end up getting cis alkene. Okay, but if you are making the reaction with another reagent, now see, using this alkynes itself, okay, alkynes itself you are taking, but you are making it to react with another reagent. Now this is one reagent you can take. If you take sodium in liquid ammonia, okay, if you make this reaction, alkynes reaction with sodium in liquid ammonia, then that gives you trans alkene. Okay, this gives you trans alkene. That's because of their addition of mechanism. Their mechanism is different. Okay, the path this catalyst takes is different, and the path this one Lindlar's catalyst takes is different. I told you the other day also, catalyst, even though if you are taking same reactant, each one is different. Okay, each one they carry out their reaction in a own way. So the product what you are going to get, that will be different. So different catalyst gives you different product. So here if I am taking alkynes, okay, so if you are taking this alkyne now, I will take this compound CH3, C triple bond C and then CH3. This is what it's but, okay, 2 ine it is, okay, because you can see 4 carbons are there. 4 carbon we call them as butane. No, 1, 2, 3 and then 4. 4 carbons, so but, and then between second and third position you can see there is a triple bond and you use always the least number. So 2 and then ine. Okay, so butane, if you are doing this reaction in the presence of sodium and liquid ammonia, okay, sodium and liquid ammonia, hydrogen addition will take place. See, ammonia's hydrogen will be given out over here. So one hydrogen comes here, one more hydrogen comes this side, okay, and this triple bond will break down. So you get CH3 and then CH double bond CH CH3. But see the name, because it's condensed structure, you can't identify how the geometry is. Okay. So what you are going to do is you will write the name correctly. So when you are writing the product using this as a catalyst and the reagent, you will write the name as trans but 2-ene. Okay, the compound name is trans-but 2-ene. Now, same reagent if you are taking, same reactant if I take CH3, C, triple bond C, CH3. Okay, but if they give you pelletized charcoal, then your product is CH3CH. Again, same, you are going to add hydrogen here. Okay, but in the presence of hydrogen, this happens in the presence of hydrogen. Here you are not taking hydrogen because liquid ammonia will be providing the hydrogen. Okay, with pelletized charcoal, Lindlar's catalyst, you should take hydrogen, calculated amount of hydrogen. So you add hydrogen across the triple bond. So you get CH double bond, CH and then CH3. But you see the name what you are going to write. It is cis but 2-ene. Okay, cis but 2-ene is the product. Okay, clear? So that's because of the mechanism of addition of here the sodium and liquid ammonia, due to which you get trans. Okay, if you want to know how that trans is being produced, like just for your knowledge, I will tell you that mechanism also. Okay, just for you to know. So till then, you can make note of this. Make a note of this. I will tell you the mechanism here itself. I will tell you. Okay, here only. I hope you'll be able to see, just for you to know. Otherwise, it's not important to know the mechanism part at all. See, now when sodium and liquid ammonia is made to react with but2-ine, sodium is a metal and it's a highly reactive metal. Correct? No, it's very reactive. Sodium is very reactive metal. So metal are the substance which can lose electron very easily. So sodium loses the electron. To give you Na plus plus 1 electron will be given out. Okay. So these are like charges which are produced now. So there will be charge separation happening in this compound also. This butane which we are taking, no, this alkynes which we are taking. So there will be charge separation happening here. So this carbon will get minus charge. One carbon will get positive charge. I'm shifting this triple bond. When I shift, I am shifting these electron density on the carbon. Okay, because there are so many charges present now here. So these molecule also will get polarized. Okay. So now this electron which is given by the sodium, that will be taken by this carbon. Okay. This deficient carbon will receive that electron. Okay. So then they will get converted to, I will write it here, CH3C. One electron will come in the carbon. Okay. One electron extra, odd number they will get. Then this will be having double bond. This carbon will have 2 electrons in them. So minus charge. Okay. And then this side you are having CH3. Okay, this is nothing but in their orbital, they are having 1 electron. See, if I have to draw their orbital, this is their orbital. Okay, so they will have 1 electron here. And this one's orbital, because minus, no, so they have 2 electron. I have just put on the top of it. See, now electrons and electrons, you know, they can't sit with each other. There will be repulsion. According to VSEPR theory, you have studied. When there are pair of electrons, they occupy a position in such a way that there is maximum distance and minimum repulsion. So you can't put two electrons pairs now on the same position. So what they do is they try to shift themselves, okay, to occupy the maximum distance. So this CH3, one orbital will remain here in this way, okay, then you are having double bond. These orbital will be on the other side, okay, this electron will shift on the other side just for maximum distance. Okay, the other one will shift on this side. I've just shifted this on the other side. That's it. So that maximum distance is there, okay, between them. So once this is over, then this liquid ammonia's NH3 is there. No, that will provide them one H plus here. Then again, one more sodium will lose one more electron and provide here, make them stable, and one H plus will be given. So did you understand now why it's like it is producing trans? Because of the electron density which comes. See, this is the mechanism part of it. How do they produce cis and trans? Here, because direct addition, hydrogen and hydrogen gets absorbed on the catalyst, then direct triple bond will come here and addition happens on the same side because all the hydrogen are on the same side. But here it is in the liquid medium, okay, where sodium will lose first, then orbitals will be with full of electrons, then they undergo repulsion, and then after that addition of hydrogen takes place. Okay, so that's why it is trans. The product is trans. Yeah, so we are done with the preparation part. Okay, we have finished the preparation, 4 preparations. You can be thorough with this. Okay, now moving on with the properties. So I'm starting with the chemical properties. You know what are chemical properties? Where new compounds with new properties are formed. Okay, so in that first chemical property is addition of hydrogen. So we are talking about alkenes property. If you take alkenes and make it to react with the hydrogen, in the presence of hydrogen, what do you think will be the product now? Because this we have done now, this is over. You have studied this in the preparation of the first one, the first part of it. If alkene is taken and made to react with hydrogen, what will happen? In the presence of nickel, platinum or palladium as a catalyst. Let me give you one more clue. Yes, very good. Correct. You will get alkanes. Okay, that's it. So you need to just to know the example. Directly you can write this, you can write. Okay, you need not write any sentence because this will be asked like a fill in the blanks type. Just to complete the equation, they will ask. Okay, like if I take now example ethene. Okay, CH2 double bond CH2 ethene in the presence of hydrogen, and this catalyst will be given to you, nickel, platinum or palladium as a catalyst. You need to complete this. So completing is adding the hydrogen across the double bond, breaking double, break double, make it single. Okay, so here double bond I am breaking and adding one hydrogen here, one hydrogen on the other side. So I'll get CH3 single bond and then CH3. Okay, so ethene on hydrogenation gives you ethane. Okay, so this is what we are doing on addition of hydrogen. Okay, clear? No, it's very simple. So this is one. If they give you some other compound also, you can write it down. Okay, so if I take now this is CH3 CH double bond CH2, that's propene. Okay, so propene they will give you, plus hydrogen will be given to you in the presence of this nickel, platinum or palladium as a catalyst. When you see hydrogen, your job is just to go and add that hydrogen across the double bond. That's it. So one hydrogen here you add, one hydrogen you add on the other side. Okay, and break that bond. So CH3, then CH2, single bond CH3. Okay, be careful with the numbers of atoms which they should be satisfied with. Propane. Okay, write down now. That's all. Okay, next chemical property. This was first one, addition of hydrogen. Okay, it's simple. Second one, you see, second one is addition of halogen. So if you take alkenes and make them to react with halogen, I am taking them as X2 because you know most of the halogen exist in diatomic form like Cl2, Br2, I2. They exist in the form of gas itself. Okay, so here and diatomic also. So X2 I am taking. This when made to react with each other, what do they form as? Vicinal. They form vicinal dihalides. Okay. See, you will understand with the reaction. I am taking alkene now. One alkene, that is ethene, let me take. Okay. Example I am taking. Ethene, that is CH2 double bond CH2. When made to react with bromine, okay. See, bromine, it's a non-polar compound. So you need a solvent to dissolve this. Okay, this reaction has to be done in one medium. So we take carbon tetrachloride, okay, CCl4. CCl4, it's a non-polar solvent. This is also non-polar and here bromine is also non-polar in nature. Okay, so if you want to dissolve a non-polar compound, you need to take a non-polar solvent itself. So we say, like dissolves like. So if you want a polar compound to get dissolved, you should take polar solvent. If you want a non-polar compound to get dissolved, you should take non-polar solvent. Like if you want oil to get dissolved, you should take them in the oil itself. You can dissolve oil only in the oil because they are non-polar with each other. But if you want salt to be dissolved, you can't dissolve them in oil, you have to put them in the water, correct? No, because water is polar in nature and salt is also polar in nature, so they get dissolved with each other. It's like dissolves like. Okay, so here carbon tetrachloride is a non-polar solvent and bromine is also non-polar in nature, so they will get, even this alkenes are also non-polar in nature, so they will get dissolved with each other. Okay, so when you are doing this, what you are going to do is similarly how we do addition of hydrogen. Okay, we break the double bond and you are going to add one bromine here, one more bromine on the other side. Okay, so what you will get is CH2, break the double bond, make it single, one bromine you add over here and one more bromine you will add on the other side. Okay, so that gives you vicinal dihalide because two bromine atoms gets attached to the neighboring carbon atom. Okay, so ethene is getting converted to now 1 comma 2 first position and second position, 1 comma 2 dibromo ethane is formed. We'll take another example also. I will give you this. You tell me what will be the product name. CH3 CH double bond CH2. We'll take chlorine now. Okay, tell me what will be the product. It's propene on addition with chlorine. You could tell me the name of the compound. Okay, that would be enough. Yes, very good. Correct. Yeah, others also can answer. What you are going to do is add one chlorine over here, one more chlorine on this side. Okay, break this double bond. Convert them into single. So you will get CH3, single bond, CH, one chlorine here. Yes, very, very good. Yeah, correct. And then break this double bond, convert them into single. Then CH2, one more chlorine here. Okay, addition. So first position and second position is the chlorine atom. See the position. First position and second position. This position, 1 and 2. So it's 1 comma 2 di, Cl is called as chloro. So dichloro 3 carbon. So propane, dichloropropane. Okay, so this is the product. Now is this clear? See why we are taking this as X2, because they exist in a diatomic form. See, how does chlorine exist? Chlorine is not an atom, no? It doesn't exist in the atom form. They exist in the molecule form, Cl2. Yes, chlorine is a gas, so Cl2. So I have taken here X2. Okay, and bromine also like that. Bromine also, it's unstable, no? See, their valency, you can understand with their valency. The valency of bromine is 7. Outermost 7 electrons are there, 1 is required. So they will combine with another bromine atom, even iodine also, all of these. Fluorine also, you see, F2. So that's the reason why it is written as X2. Yeah, function of CCl4, I told you CCl4 is acting as a solvent and it's a non-polar solvent. Okay, non-polar solvent which is used to dissolve this compound. Okay, bromine and ethene, if you want to dissolve them, you need to use a non-polar solvent. So carbon tetrachloride is a non-polar solvent.